Hey, this is Jordan Gibson, artist of Batman: The Adventures Continue, and you're listening to the DCAU Review, hosted by Cal and Liam, streaming at DCAUreview.com and on your favorite podcast app.
Welcome, everyone, to another bonus episode of the DCAU Review. And with me, as he always is Cal. Cal, it's a new month, and that means another issue of Batman: The Adventures Continue. Season 3 is here. It is upon us. Crack Up Part 2. We got a lot to get into today.
That is correct, Liam. It is it's another month. We are picking up where we left off with our cliffhanger from last month. Batman literally falling out a window. And, what will happen to the Dark Knight this week? Will we get the reveal of just who this mysterious assailant is? If you remember last month, we both took a friendly wager as to who the identity of this mysterious assassin was, and whether or not they would be revealed as who we thought it was this week, or perhaps they would try and swerve us. And one of us is correct, and one of us is not. So we will get into that a little bit here as we tackle into our entire plot for this week's issue, which, of course, was written, as each and every issue is, by the great tag team duo of Paul Dini and Alan Burnett. And of course, on pencils, the great Ty Templeton. We had Josh Reed as our letterer, and best friend of the program, Monica Kubina, as the returning colorist, as she's done each and every issue thus far.
That's right, Cal. And before we get into our thoughts on the plot of the issue, as well as a little bit of a breakdown of some of our favorite art from the issue, we actually, as has been a trend a little bit this season, we have a special guest to throw to with a little bit of an interview here with Monica Kubina, the colorist of this very comic, the colorist for every issue of Batman: The Adventures Continue to date. A longtime friend of the show, excited to have her back on and get her thoughts not only on this particular issue, but as well as all of the various artists that she's gotten to work with on this season and in past seasons. So without any further ado, let's throw it to ourselves as review Monica. Thanks, us from a couple of days ago. We are here, as mentioned, with the colorist on Batman: The Adventures Continue, Monica Kubina, best friend of the show. Monica, welcome back, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Great to be on.
Absolutely. So we can jump right here with our first question. So we'll just say this, not to humble brag, but we had known that season 3 was coming for quite a while before it was announced. I'm not going to reveal our sources here, but in fact, almost a year prior. So can you just talk about sort of the process of how and why it took as long as it did from sort of when the project got rolling to when we heard it announced officially, and then eventually once we saw it on the shelves?
Yeah, we all knew we're going to be in for a third season. Looking back on it, I wonder now, because initially it was the first 2 seasons were approved. And I wonder, how long did that take for that to happen? Mm-hmm. And I wonder if it was that sort of a process, because I wasn't really told, I wasn't privy to what was happening in the background, We were just told we're gonna do a third season. We're certain it's gonna be approved. We're waiting for approval. So that took some time. And once we started working, we weren't really given a time that it just felt like we had unlimited time. Mm-hmm. And it was so much fun to collaborate with Jordan and just go back and forth and just have fun with it. And I believe that it really shows in the final product, where you can tell that we put a lot of time and love into that issue.
Absolutely. And that was going to be kind of our follow-up to that question is that maybe, at least so far this season, I know it's probably like picking a favorite child or something, but is there one issue from this season so far that stands out as maybe the one you're most proud of?
It's funny that you say that, because they are like my children. They all have their different characteristics that I just love so much. love and hate. No, it's no. They are just, I think they all bring so much uniqueness. They just like the animated series where you have different animation studios doing different episodes. I believe that it's sort of like that, where you get to see different aspects of these characters with different expressions, which is pretty cool to do. But with that said, I do have my favorite panels or characters. I really absolutely love the theater scenes in I think it's issue 3. Yeah, those I really love. I love coloring the Joker and working with shadows on his face and upping the expression, going more yellow with the eyes or toning it down and just as crazed as he gets, just working with that. That's a lot of fun to do. I do love the hospital scenes. I think those are really cool. Just doing a little, I try to bring in something a little different with each book and try to use some different colors. And so, they're all so much fun to work with. Of course, Jordan's work is just incredible. And I love the black gutters that he uses. And looking at the show, you see where colors, even if it's pastels, they will fade into black. It's just like everything fades to black. almost like a vignette, but where these characters are merging from the dark. And that was so much fun to do, because sometimes all you need is just like a sliver of a color to highlight something, and you don't need to do so much to enhance his beautiful art. So that was a lot of fun to do. And I love the way he draws women. I love the way he draws Montoya. And it's just, I could just color her all day. It's so much fun. And just his Batman is you've got this massive, powerful character, but he's so aplomb, so graceful yet so massive. And just the action scenes were just incredible. Just a lot of fun. I mean, all of them, really.
Well, that's if the artwork is reflective of how much fun you have, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Like it definitely shows in that work. And it's funny that you said that about Jordan's work specifically with the black. When we had him on the show, that was one of the things he talked about, with the extra time, being able to make it as authentic to like that original dark deco animated series style on the dark paper. And it really showed in the collaboration that you guys did for that issue. It is beautiful. It's a beautiful artwork. That entire.
Thank you.
Yeah, it fits the story great too, because it's like moody kind of twist and turn crime drama with all the twists and turns and betrayal. So it totally fits. It feels like it stepped right out of that, like very early, like first 10 episodes of the series.
Yeah.
All right, so another friend of our show, Kevin Altieri, we've had him on a couple different times. We had him on actually right before issue 1 was released, so we hadn't seen his actual physical release yet, but we got to talk to him a little bit, pick his brain. And one of the things we asked him about was him working on Batman the Animated Series, never having worked on the new Batman Adventures style, the more streamlined, the style that the comics are in, and how he would adapt to that. And one of the things he very clearly, right off the bat, Kevin is very blunt and to the point. He was like, I draw my Batman the way I draw my Batman. It's like, it's my Gordon, it's my Batman. I don't really pay attention to any of the other styles or what have you. He's like, it's my artwork. So with that, and with having worked with even, I would say maybe even a little bit with Rick Burchett from last season, what was it like working with somebody whose artwork is a little bit more abstract or not the same streamlined style as the new Batman Adventure style, like a Jordan or like Ty Templeton?
I think good for Kevin. I mean, that's not too many people get to do that. And
Really?
he's got, it's like he's worked on the show. He can do whatever he wants. And you know, it was different, but it was also a lot of fun. And I did, you know, every once in a while I'd get a voice in my head saying, oh, are the fans gonna say this? I'm like, you know what, heck with it. I'm gonna go with my gut.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because I remember I think you posted something on social media, or like, hey, how do you guys feel about this? Does this look okay?
Yeah.
And it never dawned on me that like the way that you actually, like, the coloring process is going to look different than like a flatter, streamlined character. And Kevin's is more based in a realistic 3D style. So the coloration of that has to accentuate and work better, I assume, with his art style, so that it doesn't, to bring out the best parts of his artwork, I guess.
Yeah. And I did have a lot of fun with it, because we got to see in that issue, we got to see the vulnerable side of Batman, which was really cool. And so he adds, you know, before his issue, all the other Batmans, you just have the eyes, and then you have the mouth, where you don't have a whole lot to work with on expressions. You have like a tilt of the head, or, you know, a lot of that is done in the artwork. It's not, I can't really bring all that much to it with the colors. Besides, you know, shadows. But with his characters, they were much more, just so many more sides to them. And you got the vulnerable side, and the, you know, just the different emotions of Harley and Batman. So that was really cool to do, and just to get to do something a little different. So yeah, and for me, it wasn't really a challenge, because I mean, I've worked with, you know, I worked on SpongeBob for 7 years. You know, it's like I've done anime, and just, you know, just the whole gamut of different styles. So for me, it's fun to be able to do something different, and show a different side of somebody with the colors.
That's awesome. I had no idea you worked on SpongeBob.
Oh yeah.
That's super awesome.
I think between that and DC Superhero Girls, you're like a legend of to like our niece, for instance. Like
I actually started coloring for Marvel, and funny enough, I started just doing covers for quite a few years, actually about a decade. And so yeah, it's funny, and that's another thing, is that I'm thrilled that I got to color Kevin's cover, which was really cool to work with, you know, to work on, and just to bring a little more texture to, you know, to do something a little different from what I'd been working on.
Absolutely. I love that. All right. So we talked about working with Kevin. What was it like reuniting both with Jordan and Ty? Obviously, with Ty having his health issues, being forced to kind of take a step back for last season. But obviously Jordan filling in for him for that first issue last season, coming back. You talked a little bit about working with him and his art style and how much you loved it for the one issue, but what's it like reuniting with Ty? Is it like, you know, getting back, riding a bicycle again, or what?
It was, I mean, it's like he didn't even miss a beat. He just jumped right in, and it was just, it was just so overwhelming, because we started this together, and it was kind of like reuniting our Bat family. It was like, I'm just so happy that he was able to beat his illness and to be back and finish what he had started. It's just, I'm so happy for him to be able to do that. And yeah, I just always, they're both extraordinary talents, and it's always just an honor to color their work. It's yeah, love them both. They're both personally, and, you know, having to color their work, it's just, they're incredible human beings.
Absolutely. It's funny.
So,
We've been trying to get Ty on the program. Obviously, he's very busy, just as you are. But he messaged us last week, and he said, "Yeah, I guess I'm kind of," or last month when the first issue dropped, that he came back to. He's like, "Yeah, I guess I can draw a little bit still." I was like, "I don't think you missed a beat there. Like it, you would not know unless it had been so public. I don't think anyone would have guessed, that you had been receiving treatment for the last year plus or whatever it's been. So yeah, it feels like, I mean, it for us in our observation and even in our reviews, we talked about it. It's like, oh, the dynamic duo is back again. There, Monica and Ty. It's like nothing ever happened. There was no breaks at all. It looked like a seamless transition back into working together.
Yeah, definitely was.
Speaking of Ty, WB did kind of a drop of some limited edition prints and merchandise featuring art that you and Ty kind of collaborated on to celebrate the 30th anniversary of Batman. And can you tell us a little bit about what went into that process, and then also just what it kind of feels like to have you and Ty's work help celebrate such an iconic series and an iconic character?
Yeah, it was like the cherry on top of everything that I've been working on so far. It was like the seal of approval that I got to cross over to BTAS. It's when I received the 3 pieces and I was told that, okay, this is like for merchandise use, and I emailed Ty, and I received an email back from his wife telling me that he was in the hospital. Ooh. And it just was this really, I just felt so emotional reading this email, because she told me that Ty absolutely loves your work. He always goes on and on about how great your work is. And he trusts you. And he said, just go with it. Just do whatever you want. I know that you'll do great. And I always, I get messages back from Ty, and he's always, always complimenting my work and so kind. But just to hear that from his wife, that he said that, was just incredible. And so what I did was I colored the 3 pieces, and the Neil Adams tribute one was a little cooler. I based it a little more off of the original. And I got an email back saying to kind of like tie the 3 together, just so they're like sort of like as one. And the noir one, the modern one, and the Neil Adams tribute. So I did that. I warmed it up a little bit, and just to get the 3 to be a little more, similar. So yeah, that's just an incredible honor to have gotten to do that.
And we saw you got somebody bought you like the blanket.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
It is amazing. I can't believe that. Yeah, because I was like, should I? I'm like, it's a lot of money. So, but it's cool. So cool.
Yeah, it's on pins. It's on blankets. Yeah. Limited edition prints also. Like, they should have comped you. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I know you would do that, but we'll say that for you. Like,
well, I'll say this: it's the most I've ever been paid for a project. So okay. Yeah,
at least they took care of you there. All right.
Yeah, they totally took care of me there.
I love that for you. That's great.
Yeah.
All right, so we got a fun question for you now. Fun question is, so you've worked with these artists and you've said nothing but amazing things about them, and this is not to take away from them, but if you had the opportunity to work with one artist on a project, we'll say it's a Batman project, it doesn't have to be animated series, but a Batman project, living or dead, that you have not had the opportunity to do so before, who would it be?
Okay, and I'm going to base this on everyone that I've worked with. I've already gotten to work with them, so I can't mention.
Right.
I'm gonna say Bruce Timm.
Ooh,
I mean, that makes sense.
Why not? Right? Shoot for the stars.
Right. That's a shut up and take our money from us on that idea.
I just feel like I could learn so much, and it's just, I just absolutely love his work. I mean, obviously, but sure. But yeah.
Well, hopefully, maybe with the new, Batman Cape Crusader project they have coming out, maybe they'll do like a tie-in comic for that. Maybe they get Bruce to do some artwork. Maybe they call somebody that's familiar with his style. Bada bing, bada boom.
That would be cool.
We'll put in a call for you, and we'll
yeah,
putting it out into the universe.
Exactly. Here. I actually feel like that's what happened with The Adventures Continue. I think I was always talking about VTAS all the time, that it just happened.
We've been telling Jordan the same thing. We're like, listen, we're just gonna push it out there. We're just gonna be tweeting. We'll tweet it all the time. Like, get this guy on a project, whatever it is, something animated series related.
Yeah,
we'll start pushing that for you. Like,
Oh, that would be amazing.
Get Bruce to work with Monica. That's
awesome. Right. And then lastly, just any upcoming projects other than outside of BTAC that you want to talk about or can talk about yet?
No, I'm actually not accepting any projects right now. This has just been my dream project, and I'm not. I just want to put in my 100% into this. And if there's anything else that comes up that's Batman related, I would totally jump on. But it's I'm not taking anything else until this series is done.
There we go. Well, that's awesome. Well, we're hoping, and we're not asking for confirmation, but we're hoping for many, many more seasons of this comic. So hopefully you'll be busy forever.
Yeah, I would totally. Yeah, anything Paul and Alan want to do, I will go with them.
Sounds like, based on some interviews that I've read of theirs, they're interested in doing more. So
that would be great.
We'll see.
Yes.
Once again, just putting it out into the universe.
Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you, Monica, for joining us. It's been a whirlwind time here. We've had a lot of fun chatting about this. We definitely, by the way, are interested in having you on for a full review at some point in the future. We are looking into our. We'll plan a little bit better. We'll get you when you're out of BTAC season.
Okay.
So hopefully come on for an
good.
episode, or when construction is finished.
Yes.
When your life is a little bit more able to fit in sitting with two guys to talk about an old Batman episode for an hour.
Anytime, any day.
Love it.
I would love that. Yeah.
Well, we appreciate it. Can you tell our fine listeners at home just where they can find your artwork and follow you on the social medias?
I'm on Instagram.
I think it's Monica.Kubina, right?
Yeah, it is. It is Monica.Kubina. And my Twitter is Monica Kubina, I believe.
I think that's
at twitter.com.
Perfect.
And I can't wait. I can't wait to hear your review of this issue. So thank you. Much appreciated.
Well, thank you for being with us, Monica.
Thank you, Monica.
Appreciate it. Thanks for taking time out of your day. And we look forward to, hopefully, not only the rest of the Batman and the Adventures Continue Season 3, but also talking to you again in the not too distant future.
Thank you so much, guys.
All right. Thanks, Monica.
All right. Bye-bye.
So thanks again to Monica for making that time for us. And without any further ado, Cal, let's talk about this month's issue, Batman, The Adventures Continue, Season 3, Issue 4. And as mentioned, Cal, we'll start off talking about the story, the plot of the issue. We pick up literally right where we left off, with leaning out of a window, having been shot at by this mystery woman in a red hood, not that one. And as she escapes and Batman goes flying out of the window, he's able to grapple to safety, while remarking that he's a bit fortunate that she chose to use rubber bullets. And we see her fly away on her own little sort of makeshift gliding. So we have this sort of continued mystery on our hands, as Batman is safe for now, but the mystery is still afoot. And from there we get to this kind of just a couple of pages of this is like this issue gets a little heavy, so I feel like this is like the little icebreaker, the little palate cleanser. We get a few pages of a girls' night out with Harley, Baby Doll, Roxy Rocket, and
March Harriet. I think all Paul Dini creations, right? If I'm not
believe
mistaken.
So. Yes.
It's a table of all of Paul Dini's femme fatales.
That's right. And we do get a little bit of follow up to a previous issue of this season, issue 2, where we find out that while Harley and Ivy were kind of on the rocks for a little bit, they've smoothed things over. Though Ivy does not join them at their dinner tonight, but the dinner is quickly interrupted by Amanda Waller, who, though she acknowledges that Harley has served her time and is not currently on the Task Force X roster due to Joker's involvement, Amanda Waller is just kind of attempting to draft her back into this Task Force Suicide Squad.
Yep, and she's going to do so by hook or by crook, of course, because Amanda Waller, there is no honor amongst government agencies, shadowy government agencies, I guess. But yes, Amanda is interested only in recruiting Harley, and will do it by any means possible. So once Harley turns her down and says she's got better things to do, Amanda decides she's going to take away all her friends. So she immediately insists that the rest of the team take the aforementioned Roxy, Rocket, Baby Doll, and March Harriet, and they're going to make them members of Task Force X, minus March Harriet, who she said she's going to deport. Too funny. So we get a little bit of hijinks that occurs that includes Katana slicing off March Harriet's ears, not her actual ears, just her like whatever her powered electricity ears are. Don't know.
Her rabbit ears.
Yes, those rabbit ears are sliced off. We also get a funny little bit with Baby Doll interacting with King Shark. She kicks his teeth out, preventing him from eating her. And then right as though it seems that Amanda Waller is preparing the bombs to be inserted into the necks of her unwilling volunteers, Harley volunteers as tribute and says that she's willing to go ahead and help her, but only because Amanda Waller reveals that she has taken Poison Ivy captive, and based on that, Harley decides that she'll go ahead and follow through with the dirty work, but threatens to kill Waller should anything happen to any of her friends. So that is sort of the cliffhanger that we have with Task Force X for the issue. But that cuts us to Straight Man, who, if you recall, we last left, he was going through these various different issues where he was having flashbacks to his time in the military and very confused about what his role is and, who he is, what he did in the past, and what his role is as the Joker's sort of sidekick. And they are he wakes up mid exploration of this government facility as he and the Joker have broken in, and they are reuniting with an old friend as we see Dr. Hugo Strange, old friend to both of our villains, as Joker makes sure to bring up their last interaction, which of course took place on the Strange Secret of Bruce Wayne, the Batman the Animated Series episode. The Joker does a callback to that episode, mentioning that he's almost forgiven him for trying to convince him that Bruce Wayne was Batman, and reiterates what a dumb gag that it was, which was, I chuckled at that. That was a good line. And with Hugo Strange is his assistant Gretchen, who is also there present in the flashback, if you recall, when Straight Man was volunteered for this super soldier type experiment, a superior soldier maybe type experiment. That originally gave him these powers. So as the Joker sort of interacts and talks with Hugo Strange, he reveals that he's there because he recognizes that whatever these flashbacks that Straight Man is having are kind of impeding the Joker's plans, and he needs him to get what he calls a brain blast to sort of wipe those memories out. So he mentions the happy helmet, and continues to threaten Strange, and Strange does not relent. But then once he threatens to break the neck of his assistant, he sort of relents at that point, or is about to relent. but we get a interruption from the Colonel Haslett, who we also met in last issue. That was the soldier Captain Finley's superior in their time in Afghanistan, and also your number one suspect for just who the red hooded assailant might be, as we mentioned last week. But she is there to sort of break things up. She gives the Joker a right cross that really sends him flying a little bit, and Hugo Strange is demanding that she assist helping them. There's a bit of a fisticuffs attempt that she tries to engage with Straight Man, but he pulls an Incredible Hulk and runs right through a wall, running far away.
Kool-Aid Man.
That too, yes. Kool-Aid Man also fits for that. Right through the wall. And the Joker also makes his escape, saying he's done with Straight Man at this point, but he also needs to escape the government facility. And we cut back to Batman recovering on the medical table from those aforementioned rubber bullets, with Tim Drake making an appearance as well.
Yeah, our first Robin, or at least full Robin appearance of the season, as Tim and Bruce are sort of discussing his injuries after that encounter with the mysterious woman, and as they discuss the encounter, Bruce notes that not only did she hit him with rubber bullets, but he also had a brief sort of physical encounter with her, and felt that she was wearing some sort of armor that made her as strong as 10 men. And as he's going on to sort of explain that apparently that he sort of traced this to a prototype battle suit developed by Wayne Tech and the military, which makes its wearer stronger, more agile, resistant to weapon attacks, and maybe even that it'll allow the user to fly.
Very interesting.
Yes, and when Rob, I was going to say, sounds a little bit familiar. And when Robin asks when we might see these upgraded bat suits in action, Bruce Wayne responds with the ever elusive "years from now." I wish he had then said "whenever now is," because that would have really tied this very on the nose reference to together. But yes, it is a cheeky little Batman Beyond reference there, which I did see some folks talking about, that they questioned the idea of Wayne Tech working with the military on this, because in previous episodes, I believe in World's Finest, for instance, Bruce had no interest in developing weapons for the military. I guess this isn't technically a weapon; this is theoretically armor. But I think that's a fair critique, because while
does this contradict the Batman Beyond miniseries issue #1, where he also sort of used a prototype version of the armor? Do we know?
Yeah, I would say so, in the sense of like, if he's just using like a Wayne Tech military prototype, a lot of people would, and he's just running around with this big giant thing on his shoulder. I think that there would certainly be, I would think that would browse, unless the point, we don't really ever see, there's not really an episode where the military gets called in Batman Beyond that I can remember. So or at least not that we see. I think they're mentioned in a few, but so I don't know, maybe it's just like, maybe these suits are like commonplace, and there's a million copycats, so it's not so traceable by the time he actually builds the suit. But yeah, I do think there's I don't really mind with them playing fast and loose with the quote unquote future of the DCAU, because as we've talked about, this series was sort of designed, narratively, to be a what if we did another season of the new Batman adventures. So I'm not really expecting anyone to be beholden to what quote unquote after this,
right,
in continuity. But I think it also, there might be some questionable things about Bruce working or developing the Batman Beyond suit in partnership with the military, in light of a few episodes where he kind of expresses no interest in selling off his products to make weapons or to make war.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty contradictory.
Yeah, I would agree. So I think I saw some folks talking about that on Twitter this week. Maddie from Watchtower Database and at DCAU Resource was also talking about it. So just wanted to shout that out because I do think it was a worthwhile critique to throw out there beyond just the annoying, well, this doesn't fit, because like if we spent all about what doesn't fit with Justice League and Batman Beyond, that would be like it's an entire whole episode, and that's not really what we're here to do. So,
Precisely.
So yes, as they're going over this suit, they mentioned that the last person to visit the test site before this experimental suit had been stolen was none other than this mysterious Colonel Hazlitt, who was also the last woman to be a part of this super soldier program. So Bruce and Tim, and we actually see a little bit of Barbara Gordon here as they all seemingly zero in on this Colonel Hazlitt, who is now the number one suspect for who is our mysterious hooded woman.
Yes, but she won't stay the number one suspect for long, despite the continued red herrings throughout. We see her lifting a lot of weight. I think Batman says it's over 400 pounds. She's there bench pressing as Batman walks in, and they have a bit of a discussion, about Straight Man's whereabouts, and she's none too happy to see Batman trespassing on government grounds, threatens him, and he immediately is confrontational with her, confronts her and asks her if she's wearing the suit. She demands he takes his hand off, and Hugo Strange interrupts them, and Batman is not too surprised to see him, as he mentions that there were rumors that Hugo Strange would be there, but he's very, very quickly, they have a verbal spat between the two of them, and they discuss the Joker's ultimate plan, and that he's there and he will get whatever he wants regardless of who holds the key to it. And so we then kind of get the reveal of exactly what it is that they were after a little bit later on. We see Straight Man. He's in the park. He has an interaction with a couple of people that were trying to take advantage of him while he was sleeping. He punches them out, knocks them out with little to no effort at all, and escapes. So we see that he's on the run, and it's reported that the thugs that were shaken up are all but confirmed that the Straight Man is indeed, they're still out there running around. And I love the conversation that Tim and Bruce are having in the car as Batman and Robin, as they discuss where the whereabouts of Straight Man. And Tim just asks, like, why can't they ever go to someplace fun like the beach? Why is it always like the slums? But it's pretty funny. But Barbara discovers during this time, very much embracing the role of the Oracle type character for this season, as she's on a headset talking to Batman, mentioning that she can actually interface with the stolen suit. How convenient, you can just interface with it, which is like, I feel like a 90s hacking movie term.
I was going to say, it's very generic terms of like, yes, we hacked it, we interfaced with it.
Yes, it is it's an old standby if you're looking for some sort of technological mumbo jumbo. Just, we interfaced with it. But because they can interface with it, they were able to track the whereabouts of where the suit is, and it's headed to the Carnival, which is one of the Joker's old hideouts. And while the Joker isn't going to be there, Batman is sure that they will be able to get there in time to meet their red-hooded assailant. There's a brief fisticuffs where Robin, unfortunately, is taken out quite easily with some hidden weapons. We see a bola shoot out, which I think that's pretty on brand for Batman Beyond, right? He kind of has one of those rope things shoot out of his wrist. So that continuity wise fits, I suppose. But after a brief scuffle, we learn not only can Barbara interface with the suit, but the old failsafe button, which is a nice call forward to the Batman Beyond kill switch button. She's able to use that, which shuts the suit down, freezing her. And we get the reveal of just who this red hooded assailant is. And it's none other than Gretchen Galway, who is the, if you don't recognize the name, it's the aforementioned assistant to Dr. Hugo Strange that was present at the time of the initial experiment, and then later on here in this issue, when the Joker broke in, sort of put up a fight against the Joker. But she's ex-military and a former medic, we learn, besides being Strange's right hand. So Batman sort of does the old why, to try and get the why behind why she's involved with this. And we learn that she is emotionally attached to him, and she developed a crush on him as he was going through, him being Straight Man was going through the initial training and the enhancements that they were doing. And she was fond of his ability to be stoic in the face of danger. But unfortunately, they revealed that the final step of the program that was not really above board and that she was not on board with was this cyber helmet, which psi is spelled PSI-BER, cyber helmet. And this was Dr. Strange's doing. This is where he comes into the bit. And this apparently was supposed to increase their brain power in the same way that the drugs that they were taking had augmented strength. But in fact, it was a lie. It was just a brainwashing device it's basically the scene in Zoolander where he trains Zoolander to go kill the prime minister of whatever country it is. And it's that we get that happening to these poor super soldiers as they are designed and conditioned to want to kill the prime ministers of various different enemy countries. And she was not on board with this and did her best to try and sabotage it, but she kind of never let it go. She was willing to kind of put her career on the line in order to prevent any further conditioning from happening. But when she went to put a stop to it, the Joker had beat her to the punch, so to speak. And we get a pretty gruesome scene with the Joker having killed a lot of people in order to take over the conditioning process. And he does the conditioning process that the Joker is known to do and drives him mad. And that's kind of our reveal for just our secret assassin's motivations for the issue.
That's right. Yeah, it's a pretty fun sequence we'll talk about there. And they mention, as you mentioned, she talks about this helmet, and Batman asks where the helmet is now, and it's apparently being moved to a secret location. And we see a lot of armed thugs guarding the helmet, and them talking to Hugo Strange on a video monitor. But then all of a sudden, the soldiers begin to giggle, and we see some gas filling the back as we realize that whoever was driving originally has been replaced, and the Joker is the one taking over this vehicle, and he's got the helmet. As we wrap up our second part of this crack up storyline here, so. Overall, we kind of already talked about some of the things we maybe didn't like as much as far as continuity bugaboos earlier in the episode. But overall, I think this is definitely an intriguing second part here. I think Joker killed all the generals because as you mentioned, there's a sequence where they're trying to get all of these super soldiers to listen to only like this select group of specific generals. But speaking of like fan service and call forwards, like what a time, as mentioned, you could have put General Hardcastle in there. You could have put General Eiling in there. They chose not to. So, but again, maybe the argument is that it looked like we see some of those guys going into the room with where Straight Man's treatment is going on, and then we walk in and we see them dead on the floor. So maybe the thought was, well, we can't put them in for cameos because they have to live.
Right.
But yes, I think it's a pretty interesting second chapter here. There's a little bit of perhaps commentary about how the military industrial complex can pull in well-meaning soldiers, as we saw in the last issue and continued in this issue, who are kind of told one thing about what they're doing, and then once they actually get into the nitty-gritty of it, realize that they've kind of maybe in their point of view, have been and sold a bill of goods and have kind of being used by this by this program. So like there's some fun parts, as you mentioned. There's some fun callbacks with Joker and Strange getting to interact, and then and all of that. So like there's some fun stuff here. I'm still enthralled, even as we've begun to kind of solve the mystery, and I guess set up part 3 next month, which we got a lot of things to wrap up if this is indeed only a 3-parter, as has been indicated. So we got to resolve whatever's going to happen with Straight Man. We got to resolve Strange, Joker, the Suicide Squad, and then Batman and Robin on the trail as well. So there's a lot of setup for what is going to be, I guess, a very packed final chapter next month.
Yeah, I guess I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know. We have 4 more issues after that have been announced. So this is part 2 of 3. So you figure they're going to wrap up some of the major points, but maybe some of the other things will bleed into the next issues or so. But feels like next week we're headed to this big culmination. What the Joker's going to do with the helmet? Is he going to try and find Straight Man and turn it on, turn it up and cause him to kill the Prime Minister of Malaysia, or what is his ultimate goal with this? Or is he going to do like the Riddler from Batman Forever thing, where he like puts it on his head and has an amplifier where he can make all of Gotham fall to him, or who knows? But it'll be interesting to see what this device in the hands of the Clown Prince of Crime is, what his plan is for it. So yeah, we can get into baseless speculation later on, but yeah, it's a fun issue. I think it's a good meat of the proverbial sandwich, I guess. You get a lot of action in this, a lot of fighting, between the Joker showing up in the government facility, the initial and having his kind of breakdown with Hugo and the assistant, and then Batman fighting the Colonel, and then we get Straight Man fighting the random thugs on the street, and we get a lot of fighting in this issue. So it's a lot to chew on. There's a lot of dialogue in it too, though, as we get the further parts of this backstory of this thing. And what do you think of the swerve of not having the Colonel, but having Hugo Strange's assistant be this masked assailant?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we talked about it last month. It was so heavy-handed in that direction. And to your credit, Cal, you kind of called out that, well, then it's probably got to be somebody else.
Right.
And I was just thinking, like, well, what other characters are there that fit the bill in this story?
Right.
But I had forgotten this. Yeah, this is a very, like, and I say this as a compliment, not as a diss, but it's very much like your Law and Order type procedurals.
Right.
Where it's like they want you to think it's this person for like the first 35 minutes of the episode, but then in the last 10 minutes it turns out, oh, it's that one other person that we interviewed and seemed very kind of innocuous and just had like one telltale line that was kind of a throwaway line at the time that you realize is the whole linchpin to the mystery. But yes, we took the hard right turn. We got the swerve. I liked it. I thought it was an interesting twist, because like we said, it just felt so obvious that it was Colonel Hazlitt. So the fact that it was this other character, Gretchen, instead, I think is it's a fun twist to the story. And yeah, it sets up, like I said, it just sets up an interesting final act here with we have Gretchen, we have Batman and Robin, we have Task Force X going after Joker and Straight Man. I do wonder, and this is where I guess we can get into a little bit of my basis speculation. There's some kind of about how she's curious as to how the Joker got in to the facility the first time. I wonder if maybe Strange and Joker aren't actually in on this together.
Possibly, or my baseless speculation could be that Amanda Waller let him in because it's part of a larger plan of, I don't know, exploiting or using the Task Force X and the helmet for another purpose. I getting it out of the army's hand to put it into Cadmus's hands instead. Hard to say.
You wouldn't even have to put bombs in necks if you if Waller got a hold of that helmet.
I think we're on to something here. Kill the Prime Minister of Malaysia. Indeed.
Oh, wonderful. But yes, that's that'll take care of our speculation for this month. But we do, of course, before we get out here, Cal, we will just briefly touch on the art. Once again, of course, this month the art inks and pencils by Ty Templeton and colors by Monica Kubina, letterer Josh Reed. And of course, this month's cover is done by Jorge Corona, who I believe did a cover for season 2 as well. Yeah, I'll mention the cover first off, since that's where the issue starts. A really, really neat. It's not really done in the DCAU style, but just this sort of stream of consciousness where we're looking at Straight Man and we just see all of these faces sort of covered in this sort of green glow behind him as he's just clearly under a lot of stress. And then we see just the little bit of the stars and stripes flowing behind him. I think it's a really, almost looks like, it could be like a horror comic or something with the look of how kind of distorted everyone is on the cover. Very, very, very cool. But yeah, what stood out to you as far as the interior art for this month?
I love that we do pick right up from where we were. The final panel in the last issue is Batman falling out of the window, and the very first panel of this issue is Batman falling out of the window. It's just that from a different point of view. So I liked that. I liked, now that we know that the suit that the mysterious assassin was wearing is the Batman Beyond prototype for this. It makes me look at that a little bit differently. You appreciate the wing shape, the way that they are flying in the suit, the different things. It's like, oh, okay, that's cool. I like now that you can see the bones of the suit. It makes sense. So Mr. Templeton did a good job of drawing the proverbial DNA into the suit without it looking like a 1-for-1. This is the Batman Beyond suit. So I think you can appreciate that a lot. I will say there is you and I were talking about this before we started recording. There are not as many Easter eggs that I could find. If you found a bunch, tweet them at DCAU Review or comment on our post or send them in our DMs if you find any that we miss. But the sign for the Sunshine Hotel in the first or second panel there on the first page, it looks a little bit like, is it Rick or Morty? I assume it's Morty,
it's
right?
Rick.
Okay. I don't watch Rick I don't watch Rick and Morty, so I don't know, but it looks like the main character from Rick and Morty.
Are you even a 30-something-year-old man child who, if you don't watch Rick and Morty, I mean, we do this show, so I guess yes, still. But
yes, I am, but
not in that particular flavor.
I don't think Pickle Rick is funny, if that's what you're asking.
I kid. I've watched. I'm not knocking anybody who likes the show. I just realized that might come off as
condescending to our core audience. Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of the writer that was Dan Harmon, not as a person but as a writer. So I like the show. Please don't yell at me.
Don't tweet mean things at us.
But also I don't support any bad things he or anyone else associated with the show do. So don't yell at me for that either.
Right. We're neutral.
All right. Back.
Please. We're just neutral over here. We're just poor podcasters trying to.
We're just innocent men.
That's right. Precisely. But yeah, as far as the rest of the issue, it really feels like it's interesting. We had a brief interaction with Mr. Templeton where he was saying that he was kind of sliding back into things and getting back to normal. Of course, we mentioned his successful defeat of cancer, getting back in the saddle. I can't imagine going through that and then just going about a normal life, let alone then coming back from that and drawing cartoons at the same level that you were drawing them prior to that. And I'd say it's I don't notice a drop off in quality for Mr. Templeton's work. It's really, really strong. The faces, I don't know how, but it feels like these things get more and more true to the cartoon, like as the years go on. It just feels like you're watching stills from an episode of a cartoon. So we talk about it every week. Or every month. It's what brings it and makes this feel like, whether it's actually in the universe or not, or canon or whatever, it's what makes it feel like it's a part of it, based on how it looks. So, lots of good shots of expressive faces and the Joker making goofy faces and laughing. And I really did like the scene with Tim and Bruce in the Batcave. Also, I thought that was, as not only as they're reviewing the specs of the suit, but Bruce on the table, Alfred taping him up. Just feels like a scene out of one of the new Batman Adventures episodes. The cameos from all the Deanie girls, I enjoyed that. Also, Roxy Rocket is a favorite of mine, so her showing up is pretty cool. Would be nice to see a little bit more of her if they can find a role for her in a later issue. That would be great. But I think the fight scenes are pretty intense, and I think, but not as intense as the scene of the flashback of the soldiers being conditioned is pretty haunting. It's pretty disturbing, as it's intended to be. It's conditioning, it's brainwashing, it's whatever you want to call it, but it is not intended to be a pleasant looking experience, and it is drawn and, as we'll talk about in a little bit here, colored in a way that is unnerving, to say the least. But everybody else, I think, pretty much seems on model, looks strong. A great tag team duo from our dynamic duo in Ty and Monica. But anything stick out to you as being really strong or really interesting?
Yeah, just one minor thing. As mentioned, this is kind of our first look at Robin this season. I feel like maybe this is me just readjusting to Ty's version. I think for this, and I don't know if it was an intentional thing or just kind of felt like a gradual. This is set a little bit after the new Batman Adventures, but like he just looks a little bit older. Like he's a little taller. His limbs are a little bit longer. Like he's not quite so mini as he could sometimes look in the original animated series. So I kind of appreciated that, as as an element of time passing here. But yeah, I think that opening sequence, as you mentioned, where Joker and Straight Man break into Strange's office, and then Strange Man kind of freaks out and breaks through the wall. Straight Man's in like a different suit this season too. I guess this is still in his like ventriloquist outfit or whatever, but he's got like a, instead of the blue suit with the red tie, he's got like the blue suit with the yellow shirt and the bow tie this year. So I like a little. We always talk about wardrobe changes on the main shows because Bruce Wayne wore a brown suit for 70 of the 85 episodes of the original animated series, so it's always sticks out to me. But yeah, I like the sequence, as you mentioned, of them fighting with Gretchen Galway in they're in like I guess an abandoned amusement park, so using like the horse from the merry-go-round and swinging that around, and then that sequence with as Barbara kind of takes over the suit with Barbara's head just kind of popping up. I think is pretty funny too. And we talked about this a little bit last month, but with Ty Templeton back on the roll, I feel like as we said, he does a lot more individual panels per page, so you get a sequential art, and so there's a little bit more going on, a little bit more different poses, and you see more of the action of the individual fight, which I think also lends itself to it being a tie-in comic. So if even though they are still all still images at the end of the day, it feels a little bit more kinetic. It feels a little bit more like the action is moving fast a little bit. I think I appreciate that. And then yeah, as you mentioned, that the brainwashing sequences, both of them I think are pretty harrowing. As you mentioned, there's sort of the first shot where we see all of the soldiers together. They're sort of all strapped in with these helmets, and has this sort of like green hue over everything, and then you get sort of this close up of Straight Man's eyes, and they're just like blood red. and not blood red, sort of a brighter, like reddish orangish color as he's sort of under the influence there. And then we cut to it later where instead of all of the faces of the generals, he's just now seeing all of the faces of just repeated faces of the Joker. It's actually pretty similar. I don't know if Mr. Templeton perhaps took any inspiration from the Doomsday sequence in Doomsday Sanction where they're trying to make him hate Superman.
Oh
And they just keep
yeah,
showing him Superman's face over and over again.
good. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I kind of thought about that as they were doing that. But yeah, that individual panel with sort of straight man yelling and with the the things holding his eyes open and all of these different shots of the Joker, different sides of his head, different perspectives as they're all sort of surrounding him, and you see the laughter behind him and sort of the bright green background. It's really, really sort of, it's about, while staying in this DCAU style, it's probably some of the more disturbing imagery we're likely to see. So, yeah, I think that's definitely the standout sequence for me is those pages where we're getting the flashback of just how he was brainwashed.
Yeah, I think also, I mean, while we're talking about it, the colors that Monica selected, I think just going through it, this is a very, I think maybe we mentioned it last month too, but a very cool, like it's blue, a lot of blues, purples, not as much in the reds in the the more stark red colors that I feel like have been the main theme for a lot of the other issues. I mean, the skies are red still of Gotham, but the interiors of Harley's, whatever the restaurant that they're at, is blue. We get a lot of darker blues inside the government facility, kind of plays off of off of Straight Man's suit, blue in the cave. It's just cooler colors, which I appreciate. Everything doesn't have to always be bright, stark, fiery red. And I think maybe it just sets the tone for this season's worth of issues. It's a new season. Everything doesn't have the same feel to it. We don't have the same protagonist that we had from last season. So things are looking a little bit different. But the colors that she chose for that glowing effect that she got for the scene of the conditioning and it's just like a hospital blue white light glow.
Yeah, it's like a hospital. It's like hospital light by way of the Matrix,
right?
Like the pre-Neo getting out of the Matrix, where it just has that weird green filter on the screen. If you've ever seen that movie, like it's like that. But if they went to a hospital, maybe they go to a hospital. I haven't seen that movie in a while, but I don't remember them being in a hospital. But it's like that fluorescent light effect, but also with this like Coke bottle green tint to it as well. It's a really, really neat effect that Monica was able to pull off there.
No, I mean, unsurprisingly, she hit another home run, I think, with pairing a lot of the decisions that she made for the coloration. I think even some of the shots where the faces are a little bit more detailed, like she really brought out the pencils and the inking that Ty did on that final panel of the Joker in the front seat of the van with a driver who's been affected by his laughing gas. You kind of see more wrinkles and more definition in people's faces, and there's a couple other shots of like the close-ups of the Colonel and Barbara, where you kind of get a little bit more definition. You even get what looks like a little bit of maybe 5 o'clock shadow on Bruce's face in the Batcave and stuff like that. So, unsurprisingly, I think from us, really, really strong artwork this month, and from two really incredible artists.
Absolutely. And the last thing I'll mention, it's funny because it's kind of covered up by 2 additional panels, but there's a shot when we first back to Wayne Manor and Alfred is taping up Bruce while Robin is sort of sitting in the chair doing running commentary on it. We also get this in the background behind the 2 panels. We get this sort of establishing shot like you would get in the show of Wayne Manor, sort of looks like just as the sun is coming up. So it's like you have the stately Wayne Manor with the road and the trees and everything, and then the background's just this incredibly like beautiful like red and orange and yellow coloring coming up behind, and how that's sort of reflecting on the house and on the trees and everything. I just think, like, if it's possible, if I would buy a print of just the background of that page with Wayne Manor, Wayne Manor at twilight from Monica and Ty there. Just absolutely breathtaking there.
I love the effect of the sky too. It gives you that painted effect that would be
very brushstroke to it.
Very, very, very strong. Yeah, it's unsurprisingly an enjoyable visual cornucopia this month.
Absolutely wonderful use of the word cornucopia there, Cal. All right, so we will begin to wrap up there. So this is, as mentioned, part 2 of 3 of this crack up story, and issue 4 of 7 of this season of Batman: The Adventures Continue. We did get a little sneak peek via DC Solicit about what the next arc or the next storyline will be for perhaps the last couple of issues of this. It might in fact involve Ra's al Ghul, so it certainly could set up an interesting finale here. But as mentioned, Cal, we've got a lot of moving parts to wrap up in this story that could still potentially bleed over into the last couple issues as well, potentially. So we got a lot to look to in these last 5, 6, and 7. Still a lot to do here.
Yeah, we'll see what happens and what comes about in these issues. You know, there have been some solicits, I know, so we might have a base idea for what we're covering in some of these upcoming issues. But Task Force X stuff is going to continue, I believe, and so we'll see some of that. You know, it'll be interesting to see Harley coming head to head, whether that culminates in next month's issue with the Joker, with Task Force X coming in. Does that continue beyond that? Does the Joker get away? You know, it'd be very, very
Does the Batmobile lose a wheel?
So tweet us at DCAU Review with your baseless speculation about the Batmobile's ability to move forward on just 3 wheels. But yeah, I'm interested to see what other cameos we might get from different characters. Those are always fun. And really just where this overarching plot this month for the Joker is going. The culmination, it seems like he's got something rather large planned. So the ultimate sort of paths crossing between Task Force X, the Joker, and Batman will be interesting to see how quickly we get a resolution to that, or if it will carry on forward. But lots of different things at play here.
Absolutely, Cal. Can't wait to check that out. And thank you for everyone who checked this episode out, whether you do so on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or of course on the Pod Tower YouTube channel, where you can hear not only our reviews for these comics and our regular show every Saturday. You can also hear reviews from the folks over at Watchtower Database, as well as Tim Talk there. Lots of great content up there. So we would appreciate if you can subscribe to us on whatever your podcast app of choice is, as well as on the Pod Tower YouTube channel. That's a great free way to support our show. If you'd like to support our show more directly, you can head to DCAUreview.com. We have a store there. You can pick yourself up a hat or a mug or a shirt if you're so inclined, or if you'd like to give us a more direct sort of buy us a coffee, there is a donate button in the show notes here of whatever app you're listening. So we appreciate the folks who do give us a little bit each month. We appreciate it as well. And Cal, we got a lot to look forward to next month, and quite frankly, I'm excited to see where the journey takes us. We had a little bit of baseless speculation about the who's and what's and whys, but we, as we know, the only way to find out is when we get the next issue, and that means we'll be back here next month to talk with you about it.
Absolutely. Can't wait. It's going to be a blast.
But until then, I'm Liam.
And I'm Cal.
And we'll be back soon with another episode of the DCAU Review.
Adios.